I am your host, Carrie Scollon, giving us different perspectives on where we are and where we want to go on our journey. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to spending some time with you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of the Founder Series. I'm your host, Carrie Scollon. I have another exciting guest. I know I say that every single time, but it's because I get so many amazing women in my circles. So I have Laura Tolosi from New York coming to us to share her wisdom and her experience in so many areas. But I'm going to read to you what she offers us. So she's a motivational speaker, a ditch dieter, a diet ditcher. Did I say ditch dieter? Okay.
Either way, it's fine.
Women's holistic health and no diet weight loss coach. She is helping heart-centered women to ditch their shame, guilt, and fall in love with their bodies again. I absolutely love this. And Laura, I am so happy to have you on the show. And I just want to dive in with you because I think you've got so much to share with us. I don't want to waste one more minute of me talking. So Laura,
awesome.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. And I'm just so thankful and honored to be here with you amongst all your other amazing guests that I'm just honored. Thank you.
I feel extremely grateful to be able to do what I do and the women that come into my circle and I get to interview. So I would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're from New York. I know, read out what you do. I would love to know how you got into this field, what lights you up about it, maybe your why behind it, and then let's dive into some tools that our listeners and viewers can take away.
Sure, 100%. So I definitely got started just with my own journey in terms of losing weight. So that was really how it started. Growing up in a family, Italian American family, around food all the time, and the pasta and the bread and all that kind of stuff. Good times, great times, food as a part of it, right? So, which was a blessing, but also like a little struggle at times as well, for sure, when someone was, dealing with trying to lose weight. So started early with just kind of like the negative self-body image. Probably started 14 around dieting. I remember buying fiber pills to try to lose weight and, sneaking them, going to the store and sneaking them so my mom wouldn't know. But then like at 16, we went to Weight Watchers together and, that's her being supportive of me. And so then I went to school for biology and then I took a nutrition course and that's when things changed, because I really saw the value and how food could actually support you in your weight loss goals instead of it being the enemy, right? Because it was really always thought of as an enemy, deprivation, and the guilt and shame that came around, especially if you overeat or eat the wrong foods or whatever. So
yes, absolutely.
That's really kind of where it started. And, and just big picture, my why is food is really empowering. And food is our fuel, and food is our medicine. And so I really want to switch the way we think about food and the way women think about their bodies in relationship to food. It just approach it in a different way because there's so much shame and guilt and all that stuff tied around it. So I just really want to just kind of change all that.
Yeah, I love it.
So we don't have to grow up suffering and all that kind of, it's big picture, but that's kind of like the big why,
Yeah. Well, you're also seeing, did your mom struggle with her weight as well?
Oh, so 100%.
Right? You saw that.
Yeah. I saw that all the time. She struggled. And what really, as I reflect, breaks my heart is that I know she had my perception was that she had this self-loathing about her because she was always struggling.
Yeah.
I'm fat, blah, 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 blah. She was a beautiful woman, rest her soul. She was beautiful mom, nurturing, like, I was so blessed. But looking back, I saw she's always struggling and it was always that she had that loathe on about herself. And so, as her daughter, as a nutritionist, I really couldn't do anything, right? Because it needs to come from them within if they want to, do whatever they need to do. So I tried, but it
Yeah.
didn't help. But I also was in a different spot, you know?
That's right. And
So,
you're right. We can't do it for other people, right?
no,
And
not at
as a
all.
14-year-old growing up, you don't
Yeah.
even know what you're seeing. Like
Yeah.
it's a
No.
reflection, right? But you have girls,
Yes.
I have girls.
Yes.
This is a big reason behind my why is I don't want them
Yes.
to have to, because there's so much out there. And maybe
Yes.
there's so much out there. Maybe there's too much out there,
Yeah.
but getting the right person to help guide you, I think is so, so valuable.
Yeah.
And it's the
Yes.
way that we speak about ourselves in front of them. I mean,
Yes.
that's massive. I don't, I
Huge.
don't think most people even realize what's coming out of their mouth, right? When you're
Mm-mm.
in that.
They don't.
I know I certainly said a lot of things as a mom with them
Yes.
growing up that I could look back on and go, oh, that. But I mean, we all do that.
Right. We all do that. We all
We
do
can only
that.
go from where we're at now
Right.
help. So I love
Right.
that you're bringing this to people's attention.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it sounds like you're trying to make sure that it's not just one piece. It's a puzzle that you're kind of putting
Yeah.
together, right?
Yeah.
So that you're helping the entire body, but the whole system. So your
Yeah.
emotional, your
100%.
physical, the
Right.
nutrition. So
Right.
yeah. So
Right.
tell me a bit about that. How do you see that all being connected?
So I'm going to say the first piece. So the first piece, I'm going to say, well, there's so many pieces. It really depends on where the person's coming from, to be honest, and what comes up first. So I feel like that's the first thing that always has to be looked at. And everyone always comes in to me, if I'm seeing them as a client, like, right, one by one, right?
Yeah.
Is the weight loss they want to lose food. So there's that education piece that I do that. Okay. Like, food is your fuel. So what's the type of food you're looking at? Like how are you fueling your body?
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many big pictures because like we typically like tend to go for the cheap food, right? Like, and the cheaper food is the more processed food, the higher sugar food.
Right.
And so like we don't even look at the food, the quality of food that we're putting in our body. So that's a whole nother transition too, to get people to look at the type of food that they're putting in their body, because that's going to make them feel physically and emotionally better, right?
Right.
But there's that other layer, like, but this food is cheaper and this one's more expensive, and that's another layer
Well,
that you have to.
You've got a stress layer on there too, because
Yes.
now it's financial comes into.
Yes.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much wrapped around that.
There's so much wrapped
And the
around. Yeah,
busyness.
and right. So where I really like to start, which I find is the easiest with people actually, is that hunger piece, right? It's that hunger physiology piece. So I don't even look at the quality of food yet,
Okay.
because that's again, that's that whole other piece. So I look at that. Let's bring in the hunger. And I think that's the easiest piece to start with, because that's when people can be like, oh, I'm not eating because I'm hungry. And then I'm eating because I'm stressed. Why am I stressed? I had a bad day. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm bored. So that's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Always the tip of the iceberg. And the easiest place, the best place to start for me when I'm working with people.
Yeah.
And then we can start doing the layers. Okay. I know I'm eating because I'm tired. I'm stressed. Okay. So then we look at, well, other tools. If you're tired, what's sleep, right?
So important.
It's huge, right? Like, so if we're not sleeping, that maybe that's why we're tired. So maybe we have to adjust the sleep. So looking at while we're eating, actually, it just kind of like, there's so many different spokes to the wheel that you start to like uncover. And I love it. I find it really, really cool. You know what I mean? Like, what do we need to work on first,
Yeah. I'm thinking now, like, by the time people are ready to come to you, are they at their wits' end and they're like, just tell me what to do?
Most of them, I'm going to say most of them, they're like,
Yeah.
they know. And that's why it's a great place. So we have a conversation I have a conversation. I'm saying like, this is what we do. I says, and I don't put people on diets, right? I'm a diet ditcher.
Yeah.
Because that just kind of plays into the counting calories and the deprivation and the guilt mentality. Because if you don't stay in a certain amount of calories or whatever, then it's like this another thing is the all or nothing mentality, and then everything is blown. So
Yeah.
they have to be nurtured along that process, because I'm making a blanket statement, but 90% come in with this all or nothing mentality and this up and down.
Right.
So it's just kind of what they're doing. That layer, the all or nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't do, we don't do a diet. And if you're looking for a diet, if you're looking for macros, and I'm not here to bash any other
Right.
methodology.
Right.
It's just not the methodology that I use with my people. Did I ever use them before? Yes, I have. Right. But it's just, I'm just on this other level where we need to really kind of bring in this, this, where are you coming? Where are you making your choices from? And if you're counting calories and then that makes you bad, well, I'm not here to make you feel bad or to contribute to that hamster wheel. Right. I want to stop that.
And
Yeah.
you've been there.
Yeah.
You've been on that hamster wheel.
Yes,
You
I
have
have.
tried all the things.
I have.
You're coming from that place of wisdom, really,
Right.
and I'm making a statement here, and you can totally tell me if I'm wrong, but you've come through that emotional piece, right? So you can see where those join.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking
Yes.
almost the emotion out of it for you and seeing what really worked.
Right.
And then you're just inviting them to try it.
Right. Exactly.
It's another way, right? It seems much gentler.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it seems, like you said, more heart-centered. Like,
yes,
we're in this together.
Yes.
You just want women to feel amazing.
Right.
But it's not just about the food.
Correct.
There's so much to it. So I can feel from you that it's like, I want to take your hand, but you need to do the work.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
I'm here to support you and give you guidance.
Right.
In the end, it's got to be them. But I love that you dive into that, especially for somebody my age. Sleep is so important to our body's restoration. I mean, I can't even stress that enough. So I'm turning 55. The whole menopause thing has happened. And so I would love to touch on that a little bit, if you don't mind, for that now are.
Yep.
I know for me, weight has never been an issue for me, but I'm definitely seeing changes in my body. The last 5 years. Can't say that I'm super happy about it. So somebody who's lived their life for however, up to 55 with not having any concerns is now what?
Right.
I've never ever had to think about this before. And now I'm like, I'm feeling uncomfortable. So that menopause weight gain, is it menopause? Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that for?
Yeah. I do. So first I want to say what menopause is. So what's really important is, and I know people don't share this either, is like, how are you living before up until menopause? Like, what was your lifestyle before? So our whole lifestyle is going to impact the next cycle. It truly is. Yep. Right. So if we've been living a lifestyle of like stress and beating ourselves up, when we hit menopause, our hormones are changing again, and it'll catch up, right? If you've been living a life, and this is what I find, right? If you've been living a life of I'm going to say balance. I'm going to say balance because that's something I've really tried to intentionally set in my life too, is just to be, balance the mom and the career and all that kind of stuff. If you've been living intentionally, not from that place of burnout, it's going to be very different. Because number one is definitely your stress hormones. Right. Because and that's going to catch up because our adrenal glands is like our hormone, we'll call it the glands for our stress hormones, right? It produces the cortisol. If you're working your adrenals, by the time you hit menopause now you're still making estrogen, but it's not primarily from your ovaries. Like your adrenals are going to take over a little bit there. So now we have your adrenals that you've been working so hard, right? Your whole life because you're burned out and really not recovering. Now they got to do another job. So this is where, So like, that's kind of like the simplistic way. I mean, like hormones are, you know, like there's such an orchestra and symphony to them.
Yeah.
But so that's why I say like, it's really important to look at how you live in your life before. That's not to say you can't support yourself through it. And because what I can't stand is like, oh, you know, we hit menopause and then we're like an old hag. You know what I'm like? And I'm like, no, I'm like, no. So I'm here to defy that. Like,
I
no,
agree. I agree. I love that.
you
No.
know, like that's not us. No, I actually, for me, I'm like, this is my prime. Like, I'm like, yeah, you know, like bring it. Like, this is going to be like the best time of my life. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. All parts of my life were good, but now it's like this empowering part of my life that I'm really can step into and support women and, you know, and be that person.
Yes, I love that. I think,
you know,
as conversations like these are changing the view that women have of getting older.
yeah.
To me, we bring so much more with us now.
Mm-hmm.
We have the freedom to share because
Yes.
we also let go a lot of worrying about what other people think.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sense of freedom that comes with that I maybe you can get that younger. I don't know. I never did, but the older I get is like you take more and more of that on.
Yes.
And we don't have to turn into old hags or, you know.
Nope.
And I think the other thing I love about that is like generations and generations ago, those women didn't live very much past menopause because of the work that they did. I mean, their lives were so different. So there wasn't a lot of what would be the word? Not research. It's not the right word, but living to 100 and having a really productive life still after 50 was not really common.
Right.
And so now we're getting to the point where it's like I feel like I've got my boots on and I'm like I can't wait to go. Like this is my time now.
Yes.
And nothing's stopping me.
Yes, I agree 1,000%.
I have to take care of myself in a different way.
100%.
That's what I'm finding. It's like, okay, what used to work for me does not work for me anymore. So it's about opening up to, I love this. I won't throw my sister under the bus, but I said, I'm just gaining so much weight around my middle. Like, what is going on? And I'm like, I can't remember how I worded it. And she said, yeah, but Carrie, you got to remember, just like you said, you've never had a flat stomach. So why do you expect to have one now? But even in my early 20s, I always had a little, a tummy. And it was like, yeah, you're right. I'm trying to change something that I never even had to begin with.
Right.
So the other thing that I want to just say quickly about that.
Yeah.
So yes, my middle is getting a little bit bigger than I'm used to, but I've realized with myself is I'm not actually willing to do the amount of work it's going to take me to get that down. I'll be healthy, but I think there's a point where you go, what am I actually willing to do?
Right.
Like,
right.
But what am I willing to do?
Right. Exactly. And that's right. It's like, what are you, wherever you come, what are you willing to do? What's your priority?
Yes.
What's your priority? What do you want to do? Now, if you want to, like, you can change whatever you want. However, what's beautiful, I think, about coming from this stage of life, it's like, I love my body as it is.
Yeah.
I was blessed. I had 2 children. So every choice I make, and that's what I want to share and try to support other women to come from that place, is I'm coming from a place that my body, I love it and it's doing so much for me. So how am I going to support my body, through this time or whatever? And, so that it's coming from a different place. Like I love my body. It's great. You know what I mean? It does so much for me. And that's what's beautiful about this stage in life is like, I don't care. I don't really care what other people think. And like, I'll go out, like walking my dog and, my daughter would be like, Ma, you going out like that? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I go, and that's the beauty of my age. Is like, I don't really care.
It's so true. And you don't care about what other people think. And you still care. Really, the biggest thing that I care about is what I think.
Right.
Like,
right, right.
I'm okay to go out however I want to go out.
Yeah, what feels good to
And
me,
feels good to me.
Right.
Exactly.
And I want to like, my goal is really to share that with even younger women, is to kind of really love themselves as they are.
Yeah.
And from that place, again, then, make whatever changes they need, but just to love, you have to, we're not in the present moment. And we always think it's going to be better. If we're a different size, if we have a different hair color, if we're, if we change our eye color, if we do this, we're still the same person. So like we do all these things to change the outside of us, which is fine. But can we come from a place that we love ourselves how we are now, and
Yes.
just kind of tap into like, yeah, I feel good about myself now. And so that's really,
I love it.
because if we're feeling good, and I'm going to make that physiological case because I think it's important. If we love ourselves from now, we feel good, right? We have feel good hormones. And so we're in the physiological place. We're in a place that's supporting our, we'll say autonomic nervous system here, right? We'll get a little technical here, but we're supporting it if we're coming from that place, versus if we're coming from a place of anger and hate, those feelings are depleting and
Yeah.
take us out of balance, take us out of coherence. And that contributes to the
Oh,
cortisol, to the negativity, but it has a physiological response.
yes.
So if, again, and then this is what I work with them. And if we can have our baseline to be in balance, our baseline to be higher, it's called coherence. If our baseline could be a higher, then when these things come in life, we can handle them better. When, like if we look at ourselves in the mirror, we'll be like, oh, I don't look that bad. You know what I mean? Like just coming from a higher place, a higher coherence. So
Yes.
that's if we are coming from the place of loving ourselves, thinking, looking in the mirror and saying, I am beautiful, right? Like how many women can look in themselves in the mirror and say, I'm beautiful?
Not many.
Not many. And that's an exercise that I've shared with women, is like, go every morning. Look at yourself as you're putting your makeup on. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. And, like just things that they can work in throughout their day, because again, we want to make it easy and not difficult,
Mhm.
so,
I think
so,
that's one of the hardest things that I've had women do in some of my groups that I run, is to look at themselves in a mirror. And I told
mhm,
them once a story that I had. I had a shower, done my makeup, done my hair, came out, and my husband looked at me and he goes, "Oh my gosh, what happened? You got like a huge broken blood vessel in my eye." And I'm like, I just spent 15 minutes looking at myself in the mirror. I didn't even see myself. Right? Like
mhm,
it was such a in your face moment, because I thought, how did I miss that?
mhm, mhm,
And and it was a real kind of like I'm not seeing myself
mhm,
through the
mhm.
motions every day. I get up, I put my makeup on, but I'm not looking at me.
Right, right,
And
right, right.
it was a great like reminder of when you are in the mirror getting ready. Yes, look at those. Sure, we've all got some lines coming around our eyes,
Mhm.
around our mouth, and I'm like, those are laugh lines, they are sad lines, they are
Right,
all of our emotions that we see. But who would we be without being able to
right,
feel those
right,
emotions?
right,
So I
right.
think I kind of sidelined there, but it was a very good wake up call for me when I realized I didn't even see myself.
Mhm,
And what you said earlier about that balance and the baseline, the more we do love ourselves, and it's a hard thing to say because people go, oh yeah, just love yourself, like
yeah,
woo. It's like, no, there's more to it than that, because I know when I'm feeling that way in my body, and I appreciate so much of what I'm able to do because of my body, I want to treat it better.
yes,
And I don't want to put that
yes,
that food in my mouth.
right,
Oh, and then so it's a roller coaster for me.
yes, right,
But I know I try to tap into that. When I'm feeling that good in my body, I want to take care of you.
right.
It helps with my what I'm
Yes, 100%.
doing. So when you
Yes.
walk women, do you deal only women or mostly women?
I target mostly women. I see men here and there, but my main focus is women, you know.
So how soon are you able to bring in the self-love piece? Because I know, like you said, you start at the top because you got to they've
Yeah.
got to gain trust in themselves when it,
Sure. Sure.
low hanging fruit, like they call it, right? Like, let's
Yes.
start somewhere where it's manageable and it's not overwhelming. Because I think
Right.
just my experience is I get overwhelmed with information and I do nothing.
Right. Exactly.
So
Exactly. So yeah, it's a process. So honestly, as soon as I can, I'm going to do it.
and you kind of just sense when they're ready that maybe you could add
That's
that.
me. I sense it when I think they're ready. I sense it when there has been an opportunity and, either they're sharing a win with me, what they did. And I'll highlight that was that self-love piece. I said, see, or when they've made a, change in a behavior, like they've made a choice that they felt really good about. I'm like, okay, see, that was, and I'm always, but I do it really soon because when I talk to them about making their food choices, I'm saying, you're going to look at your food differently. It's the food is feeding you, nurturing you. So I say that really early on is like, you're coming from a place of making these choices from a place of loving yourself.
Yes.
And that's the food that you're putting in. So when you're looking at a food, let's say the cookie versus the piece of fruit, I'll be like, okay, so if you're making that choice from a place of nurturing yourself, how do you want to support your body?
Right.
You know what? I really want to go for that fruit. So you're going for the fruit because you love your body, not because you're depriving yourself and you feel guilty if you're having the cookie.
Yes.
So that's the switch. And that's a switch I really try to do that as soon, pretty much as in, within the first month, I'd really kind of like to make that,
Yeah.
decision,
I love that.
that
I love it.
choice. And it
Yes.
really just makes the whole process, it just makes the process easier. There's no judgment. There's no guilt. There's shame. It's like, they'll share everything with me because they're not scared.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
You're gonna tell them like that's not me, like you did that wrong. No. All
yeah.
right. This is how you felt. Let's feel it, whatever. If resistance comes up, because resistance comes up, how do we address that resistance? Right? Like, because resistance is just kind of like a sign that there's like a pattern going on, right? And we need to break that pattern, right? Because it's the pattern. So subconsciously was designed to keep us safe,
For sure.
right?
Yes.
Which is great, which is perfect. But the pattern, that's why we see the yo-yo all the time, right? But the pattern is no longer serving you. So we need to work on retraining our brain to change into a new pattern. So when that resistance comes up, like, okay, I love it. I'm like, great. You felt resistance. It's ready to we're ready to let go. Ready to
Yeah.
let go. Feel it. We work through it. Let's let it go. And then like we move forward. Like our past, we have these memories, but the memories are our wisdom. They're not our failure, right?
Yes. That's
Move
fantastic.
forward, move forward, move forward. We're not looking back. That was the past you.
Yeah.
You're the person who you are now, who you are choosing to, move forward to. That's not what they do anymore. So I just face forward like this. My hand here is like that mirror. So like you're not looking back.
Yeah.
You're not looking back into your past. You're moving forward.
So
That's my approach.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're touching on the identity piece too.
Yes, you have to.
Exactly. Like let's relate to the person that you want to be that person.
Yes.
Step into that person.
Yeah.
You'll see the choices that they're making.
Yes. So
And
you
no
have
shame,
to do that.
yes. And no shame of the choices that you made in the past.
Right.
And so
Correct.
there's a lot of like, it sounds to me like you are diving into everything. And I love this because like you said, it's not just a one and done.
No.
You can't just change your food.
No.
There's a lot of things, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming.
Correct. It does not.
You can step by step.
No, it's step by step.
Yes. I love what you said too about really making that emotional connection in our body. Because it's something that I work with too is, celebrating your wins.
Yeah.
Making that emotional connection when you are proud of yourself, of the choice that you made. How did that feel in your body? And then it's like rewiring, right? Our brain that's going, oh, that felt good. I want more of that.
Right. Yes.
And it reminds ourselves that we can do it.
Yes.
Feels good when we do it.
Yes.
And when we can create a habit like that, it's going to be
right.
Because
right.
And that from going from shame to being proud, that can happen quite quickly.
Oh, yeah.
When you become aware of the choices that you're making and really
Yeah.
becoming aware of how you're feeling in your body, right?
100%. And they don't, and people come to me and they're not even connected. Like I can tell, like, so I do a whole, head to toe assessment, and it's very, very interesting. What I'm finding is like, if they're not even connected to their body, it's, like it's just a measure from themselves. So it's really good because you can do it from, you do it every couple months just to kind of get a measure. And, so there are certainly emotional questions that I ask about food and stuff and how you're feeling. And so people don't even make that connection, a relationship to their feeling, to their food or anything. So it's really, really cool because I'll see that like the questionnaire will be low on certain things. I'll be like, that's interesting. And as we're going through the process, it actually goes higher a little bit because now they're actually like getting in touch with their body. And which is
everything. It changes everything.
It does.
I can't even, I get so excited about this stuff because it doesn't just change your relationship with your body. It changes the relationship you have with everything around you.
Yeah.
Your relationships with your children, with your, I just want everybody to feel that way.
Yeah.
I really do. Sometimes as moms, I think we feel selfish for taking that time.
I know.
But the benefits that you are giving everyone around you, most importantly yourself, is so worth it. And sometimes just having that little push, if you have to do it for somebody else at the beginning, do it for your daughter. If that's what it takes, I don't care what it is. If it's so that you can play in the playground with maybe grandchildren one day, whatever it is that you need to grasp onto.
Correct.
Part of your why. And then when you work and you get deeper, it is about them.
Yes.
It's such a vulnerable place to come from when it's a weight issue, because it's so much, it's a worthiness issue. It's belonging. It's matter. There's so much more to it. I just love that there are people like you that are doing, you're living in your purpose from the feeling I'm getting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what the world needs is people who are living in their purpose, whatever that is, and doing something for more self-love, because I think more self-love makes the world a better place.
Certainly.
And you break it down in steps that are manageable. And I just think it's a beautiful process because, like I said at the beginning, there's so much information out there and so much contradictory information. Eat fruit, don't eat fruit, too much sugar. I'm like, I can't even stand it. So I believe a lot of us need somebody like you to help guide them through that process.
Correct.
Take the overwhelm.
Exactly.
And, there are a lot of people out there that are doing it. I think people need to almost interview us, right?
100%. You have to be connected.
You do.
You have to be connected to that person, because if you're not connected, and it's a two-way street. If you don't like my approach, you're not going to like me. And that's okay, because there's so many people out there. And so there's so many people out there. There's so many people that need this help. And if I'm not your fit, that's okay. My truest desire is for you to find someone that is your fit and that to support you through that process. And so when I do work with someone, I'm like, because there is so much confusion out there and we have so many people who are do-gooders and want to support us, I do ask them, I said, now this is your time. This is us. Okay. I said, so we're here together. I'm going to guide you. Here, and it's a teamwork, right? It's teamwork. I am not healing anybody. I am not the group. I mean, yes, I have the experience, etc. But this is a team thing. So if I'm sharing what I really feel strongly that will support you and you're not in alignment with it, then that's okay. Right. But that's my job, right? I have to lead you to what I think is the best decisions based on my experience, right? My training. But if you're not in alignment with it, either one, you're not in alignment, that's okay. Or you have resistance to it. So why is there resistance? Let's work through that. So there's a couple different approaches to that.
Love that.
But they need to be in alignment with whatever they do, because then they're going to take that. Then it's easy and simple. If they're not in alignment with whatever the thing is. And so like even through progression, when I'm working with people, when I first start working with them, they might not be able to meal plan or something like that because they're in resistance to it. But we get them to a place where like, yeah, I'm meal planning all the time, and people are asking me for recipes. So that's the progression.
Yes.
But I also invite them to cut the confusion piece. Like, okay, so this is our time. I don't want you to listen. Not that I don't want you to listen. People have their things, but we're working through this together. And so in order to lessen the overwhelm and to make it easy, we're doing this together. And what working for someone is going to be great, but we're here to work with you. And that's what I'm here for. Beautiful. Right? Like if you have a question, bring it to me. I'll research it. If I don't know it, okay, this is this. And I can guide them only because I know their history and what they're going through physically, emotionally. And so that might not work for you right now, but you know what I'm saying? Whatever. Yeah. So that's the confusion piece, because there's so many things and people, and that's fine. You just got to like the shiny object, right? We have this shiny object syndrome. You with me? Let's just be it together and let's just be focused by the time while we're working together.
Yes. And what would you say is your typical, like, is it a 3-month program? Like give me an idea of what you've seen that works for maybe the majority. I mean, I know
the majority that I work with, to be completely honest, is a minimum of 6 months.
Okay. That makes sense.
And honestly, at least a year. I mean, like, that's just the honest truth. Yeah. I am working with women who really have more weight loss resistance, and there is a lot of emotional piece. Yeah. And that's who I'm attracting, and that's why I'm loving this.
Yeah.
So I can support them through this. So that's, and I'm not a therapist. It's just kind of the tools I use that I can support them, and I want to support them. So there's just those layers that you have to get through and those behaviors that you have to get through. So it does take a longer time. And yeah,
there's also a safety piece in there for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's a safety piece of them feeling that way with you or with whoever that they're going to, and then there must be some sort of safety piece in their body to allow them to open up to that.
Yes. Right.
I just find it's such an emotional piece.
Yeah, it really is.
Women deal with weight. Like I really have empathy for it. Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard. Yeah. And I think they really need to find someone that they feel safe enough with.
Yes.
They're not going to try and hide anything.
Right.
Right. And there's not going to be any shame, obviously.
Right.
Get rid of that at the beginning. Like,
exactly.
How proud they should be of themselves for going, enough's enough. I'm done.
Exactly.
I want to show up for me.
Right.
And it's hard for a lot of women. So I value that you open that space for women.
Yeah.
I think it's an easy space.
Yeah.
For a lot of them to step into. And you have to have a lot of energy yourself to hold that space.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I just think from what I'm gathering, you're the whole package. That's the best way for me to describe it. People say, "Wow, you're the whole package." I'm like, "Yeah, you're the whole package."
Thank you.
And you want them to feel the same way.
100%.
Their package
100%.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
Walk in the door with you, and they are just as beautiful.
100%.
But but it's the inside that you're getting them to see their beauty in.
Yes.
And I just love that piece.
Yeah.
I just want everyone who's feeling that way. I mean, what I tell everybody all the time is that they are more than enough as is.
Mm-hmm. As is. Right now.
You're more than enough
right now.
Is. And it can
right now
be your inner work.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a nutrition piece in that.
Yes.
There's so much. So
there's a lot of tools. It's not only nutrition. And that was my main education. But, again, just kind of doing this over 30 years, I know it's not only nutrition. And that's why, I had to look at other tools, because it's not just nutrition. And if it was just nutrition and all we had to do was just eat the right foods, I don't even like to use that term anymore, then we would all be able to get to where we wanted to go. And so clearly that's not the piece either.
Yeah.
So clearly that's not it. And it's not willpower, so there's more. And so like when you get to that point, there's more, then let's, come on, baby. If you're ready to do the work, we got the tool, because there's tools and you have to do this. It's not like you can't do it. Like, like I asked you to do things and whatever, like whatever you can do. Great.
Yeah.
You have to start somewhere,
Yes. And I think that's the thing. I think, and I'm just speaking from women that come into my world. It's like, I can't even describe how proud I am of them. Like, and I'm sure you feel the same way, like just to take that first step and go, either I want more, something's missing, I want to feel better.
Right.
I want to love myself, whatever it is coming into, it's like, I have had enough and I'm actually going to get some help because I'm supporting this. Like, this is really hard to do alone.
It is. It really is. And then they feel like they're weak if they don't get the help. Like it's like we they need to be these strong women and do everything on ourselves. No, help is okay. That's like a sign, like you are like actually coming from a place of wisdom because you can't do it alone. We can't. You can't build a house unless you're the carpenter. So why do you think you can do? You know what I mean? Right. Especially with all the confusion and mix. Like you need the guidance, and that's okay.
Totally. I just Brené Brown says that vulnerability is it's a strength. It's not a sign of weakness.
100%.
And the more women step into these different spaces that they're being invited to, it's a ripple effect. Like, I think that's my favorite piece. It's like when you do something for you, it affects not only you, and it is a ripple effect all around you. And I think there's something beautiful about that. And when women step in, they're not just stepping in for them. They are stepping in for all the women that are watching. And, it's just somebody needs to take the lead. And maybe that one person in that group that they're in, it takes one person to show them.
Right. Exactly.
Wow, look what she did.
Right.
Look how how much happier she is.
Right.
Or people will say, wow, you changed. Have you lost weight? No, I'm happier.
Yeah. It's so interesting. Your whole face changes. I'm always doing the work on myself. And so I hadn't seen someone in a while and they were like, you almost look younger. I was like, okay, but that, like that's what happens, because it affects everything, your aura, your energy, everything.
Yes. And so much. I'm getting more into that energy part because I believe it's so powerful.
Oh, totally.
I also believe that we are just using like about this much of our brain. So when people start to expand that and see the power that they have and the control that they have, and letting go of the control, it's fascinating to me. And when you talk about the automatic or the whatever nervous system and parasympathetic, I'm learning about all that stuff because it's just fascinating to me. We've got so much more, we have so many more tools than we realize we have.
Correct.
But sometimes it just takes somebody to open that up a little bit.
100%. And so that's that coherence piece. Right? When you're in a greater state of coherence, right? You're coming from that heart center. Your thoughts are clearer. This is actually physiological. It's energetic. So when you're creating this, changing this energy, you're in this balanced state of coherence. You're thinking clearer, and you actually are connecting to your intuition greater. And so those are your higher self, God, whatever is your definition, but you're making that connection. And then you listen to your body, you're listening to your issue so it's this ripple effect, right? I mean, so cool.
I think there's a lot of people, and I myself, I was in that category. Thankfully, I've done a lot of work on myself as well. But that tapping into the feeling in your body and the emotions in your body, when you were disconnected from that, it's just, Well, I think we just get used to it. I think for me, it was just, I didn't even know what it was like to feel to my body. So I didn't know what I was missing.
Yes.
But when you actually can start to tap into that, it's like there's a whole new world that opens up for you there.
Yeah.
That's what I felt.
Right. Exactly. And just bringing it back to the women and the moms and the guilt, right? Because we're so busy. And there's that disconnection because we're running around doing everything. And then we feel guilty if we try to be still and then we can tap in and then we can actually make the better choices. And you know what I mean? Like, so it's just this, like blossoms. And so it's really so cool.
I could go all over the place with this. I absolutely love this. I mean, if we just focus on getting connected to ourselves.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Yes.
It would change everything.
Yes.
It really would change everything. We started trusting ourselves more. Like you said, our intuition and our heart. It's actually the feeling in our heart that triggers the brain, right? It's not the other way around. I always
No, it's not.
The other way around.
That's what everyone's taught. It's your heart. It's your heart. It's the feelings in your heart. And there's more pathways going from your heart to your brain versus the brain to the heart. It's a greater system. Has more of an impact from your heart to your brain. And that's why you want to feel it.
We've always been taught the other way.
Yes.
Right? Thoughts.
Right. But if you step into that feeling, right? So again, when I bring it back to the women, like in the beginning, what do you vision yourself? Feel those feelings. Feel those feelings of how you're going to be or how you want to feel. And you want to be in those feelings, even if you can't do it all the time, like every morning, be in those feelings. Yes. Be in those feelings and then make your decisions from those feelings.
Right. Now, I want to touch on that before we have to wrap up, but
sure.
Because there's also this, feel the feelings, but don't feel the bad feelings. We want to just feel the good feelings. It's like, oh my gosh, you got to feel the bad feelings too.
You got to feel everything. Mm-hmm.
And then the biggest part of this work, in my opinion, is yes, feel those feelings, but you're not staying there as long. And that's work, right?
Correct.
It's like no feeling is wrong.
Correct.
It's just being aware of it.
Correct.
Wonder why I'm feeling that way.
Exactly.
Right? And then you can go through it.
Yes.
You can't just stuff all that shame. You can't just come into a program like yours, stuff all that shame down. I love myself. Because people go, yeah, right. I can't look in the mirror and tell myself I love myself.
Right.
I look in the mirror and I think you're pathetic.
Right.
Those were my own words. So I said to myself.
Right.
So there's this level of we want to go all in, and I love myself, but our body's going, no, you don't. No, you don't.
Right.
There's some work there.
100%.
I want you to, but you don't. So like just allowing yourself to feel that, working through why you felt that way.
Right.
Then you can bring in that. Like these are little steps. And instead of taking the entire thing that we're going to work on. It's like one little step at a time. And I do, scares is not the right word, but I think we lose people when we say that we need to focus on the self-love first, because that is
I know.
Intimidating piece.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. I don't say that.
Yeah.
Right away. Right. We're going to self-love, even though I'm thinking of like a book title that's like love, the love diet or something. It's all kind of cool. But
it's like that's a scary piece for people.
Yes.
It's like you got to just step in and allow themselves that grace period.
Yeah.
They need to allow themselves to have that grace.
Correct.
So anyways, I think if you have something that you would like to say to wrap it all up, what you think is the most important piece, just let me know.
There's so much. We had a great. There's so many good things. I'm going to just say honestly, whenever you're making your decision, whatever you're choosing, whatever, to come from a place of not from a place of fear, scared, shame, guilt. If you can, my best, I would say, just make those decisions in whatever you're doing is from a place of for yourself and from a place of nurturing yourself versus the fear, because we are also fear mongered too in everything we do. Fearing of getting old, fearing of this, fearing of that. So that's not good. That's not really that's not your true decision because you're doing it because you're scared.
Right.
So if you're making a decision from a place of like, like what you're tapping into your body and a place of like confidence and just nurturing, you're just making your decision from a different place. So that's kind of like where I would say just,
okay, perfect.
Little, but
Yeah,
don't come from fear, come from faith,
Yeah.
from faith versus fear, really.
And fear or love. I've heard that those are the only two places we make a decision. Either coming from fear or coming from love.
And love is going to be our true north,
always
right?
true. Always choose love.
Yeah.
Always choose love. No matter what you're in, choose love.
Yeah.
That's, and I just think I think it's beautiful. I love what you're doing. I appreciate you and the work that you're doing. You're making the world a better place. Every single person I have on this podcast is making the world a better place. That's why it's such a fantastic place to be, and why I feel so grateful that I get to talk to people like you. So all the way from New York, Laura, I appreciate you so much being here.
Thank you.
For those of you who are watching and listening in, thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope, I know that you'll take something away from this episode with Laura. And if you want to reach Laura, can you tell
Laura Tolosi? Yeah, LauraTolosiNutrition.com. That's the easiest. LauraTolosiNutrition.com. I have a chocolate cookbook there, honestly. Like, because like you're making the choices, like you can have good food and not feel guilty. So that's my cookbook that I have. It's an ebook,
Love it. I love it. And we will put everything in the show notes.
Sure. Perfect.
All right. So Laura, thank you so much for being here. And thank you, everybody. And we will see you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Thanks.